Alright, I'm going to bring y'all my first video with my about do-it-yourself video. Working on the 2014 Nissan Altima. Doing the rear brakes, brake shoes and the rotor. And I already took care of that side, but I said let me take the time to go ahead and make my first video for y'all on my DIY channel that I'm going to create. So first thing you got to do is get this tire off. Either if you got air tools it'd be better, but if not, you should know how to take a tire off. So let me get this tire off and we'll go from there.
There you go.
Look, I'll get the tire out the way. Now, a lot of these cars, I don't know if y'all can see all that rust up on there. This is a 2014, and I done a 2014 Impala wheel hub, and it was the same way. Had to beat it off because of all that rust. You know, they don't make these new cars like they used to. But anyway, what I recommend you do is get a little bit of penetrating oil. But this time, before I put the penetrating oil on there, use my drill with my wire brush and try to knock a little bit of this corrosion away. This makes it easier to come off. Alright. You got a blow gun. If you're using an air compressor and have a blow gun, once you do that, blow some debris out, right? And then put a little bit of penetrating oil on it and let that sit. Let me get my tools together, take this caliper off and the caliper bracket. I'll be right back in 2 seconds. Alrighty, so now we back. We can let that we letting that soak, and I'm gonna let it soak a little bit more while I'm taking the brake caliper off, and then I'll have to take the brake bracket off, the caliper bracket. You need a ratchet in a 14 or 9/16 socket. And remember, it's lefty loosey, righty tighty, but it's reverse in this instance. Probably. I'll see when I watch the camera on how I record back. And usually you just have to give it a little whack sometime. You know, don't hurt yourself, because you can't turn the hub and use a breaker bar like you can on the front end. Remember, I'm on the rear end of this. So what you do, put it on there and just take your hammer. You know, hopefully you all can see. Take the hammer. If I can get it up in there, maybe it'd have been best I'd come up top. Because all you need to do is literally just break it loose. I use my hand a lot, so see, just broken it loose. Now to be easy to get those bolts up out of there, you hurry up and take them up out of there. And I suggest you set them to the side and try to put them back in where they came out. Because sometimes the threads are a little bit off, and you'll have to use the ratchet to really tighten it down. So I'm gonna leave the bottom one. I'm gonna set it to my left, and the top one I'm gonna set to the right of that, and just remember how you set them. best thing to do is just take a screwdriver and you can get in there and just pry it, because it compresses the cylinder and the caliper back in, because you're changing the brake pads in the rotor, and be easy to come off, and you're pushing the cylinder back in so that the new thicker brakes will fit right in there. So you set that off to the side under here, under the cradle. Take your bad brakes off, your old brakes, right? And then is on to the brake caliper bracket. The brake caliper bracket is a 3/4. It's a 3/4 or a 19. In this case, I'm using a 3/4 wrench, and I'm gonna do the same thing I did to take the caliper off. And in most cases, they've been on there so long. So position the 3/4 socket to closed in, and hold your hand back here where it bolts on, and just give it a whack. Up, a couple whacks. Now it's pretty much loose, because after this, then you can take the 3/4 or 19-inch socket and ratchet off, get it off a little bit faster. So let me get this top one. This top one you may want to, depend on what type of wrench you have. It's going to determine which way you face it. Taking into consideration. Alrighty, I'm back. I had to delete some things, so I don't know what part, how much y'all heard, but I had to take the caliper bracket off after I took the caliper off. And again, you set the bolts. Make sure you remember which one is top, which one is bottom. It makes it easier. So now we have the caliper off, have this set over to the side. The caliper bracket off. You need to take a good hammer, because you're going to have to beat this off of here. Turn it. Turn it. Then go this way with it. Go. There you go. I have to break that rust loose. If it don't come off or wiggle when you take the tire off, it got a little bit of rust that then caused it to seize up. So now we have it off. We can reverse the process. So what I need to do now is grab a new rotor, which I have right here. Take something. Get your new rotor. Oh, no you don't. You better not put that rotor on there yet. Before you put that rotor on there, here we go. Let's clean the rims off. If you don't have a drill for one of these, then just use a wire brush. Again, if you're working with air, trying to charge up on me, but I don't want to run out of space on my memory chip. I got to remove some things. But once you blow it off, what I suggest you doing, take a little bit of lubricant. Just hit it up on there. Grab your new rotor. If your hands is greased, try not to touch it. If you do, I mean, it's cool if you do, but just make sure you got some carburetor cleaner or something like that. Brake cleaner, clean the oil off. Set your, but you can hold it where you're not touching it. Set your rotor on there. And they also have a little rubber thing in here for the emergency brake. You pop that out and pop that in the new rotor. Alright, you get to do that. And then what you do is we're getting ready to put the caliper back on. I mean the caliper bracket back on. And then I'll put the caliper back on, put the tire back on, and we'll be wrapped up. So I'll be right back at you. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of lubrication on the bracket bolts. Had a little bit of rust on them. Usually you don't have to worry about the caliper bolts, but what I like to do, I'll show you here in a second, is put a little bit of bearing grease on. But let's get the caliper bracket back on. Set in place. If you position them right, I position the bottom to my left and the top to the right. So get that lined up. Get that lined up. Get it started. Grab the other one. Do the same thing. Tighten them down by hand as far as you can. Lubricate them, it makes it a little bit easier. Like I said, you see the corrosion that builds up over the years on these cars. Once you get them finger tight, got that B, they try and sting people. Take your 19 or your 3/4. And the top on this, you're going to have to use the wrench because of part of the rear, part of the frame being in the way. So you're going to have to use the wrench to tighten that down. But as long as it's tightened down by hand, so you give it a few slugs by hand, and you can hold it on there. Make sure your hand out the way, and give it a couple whacks like that, and she's snug. Tighten down the top and do the same thing. Double check. Cool with that. Now what we do is get ready to put the brakes on. You lubricate the new brakes with the brake squeak, stop squeak. And you lubricate these, right? And you get your brakes back in there. So what I'm getting ready to do is go ahead and get them back on there. Get my caliper back on and put the tire back on. But I'll get right back at you in a second. Alrighty, so I'm back. I have my both my brake pads on there. excuse me. And now I'm gonna put my caliper back up there. You know, if you can press the cylinder. Oh, before I do that, sometimes the rubbers come off of the back. They just pop on. You know, so the bigger end, you know, you just finesse them on, put back on pretty much. And usually you have to get them out your way anyway to get the bolt off of there, the bolts off of there. You just wiggle it around, put it right over it, catch one end, they back on there. So now, you put your caliper back on and you push them in out the way like that. Go ahead and set your caliper up there. Remember, I put the bottom one to the left and the top one to the right. So I'm going to grab the top one first. I'm going to adjust it till it goes back where it needs to. And twist it a couple times. Oh, let me back up before I do that. Because what I normally do so it doesn't seize up, I've seen these break. I had a few break on me last week because they was corroded in there. I like to put a little wheel bearing grease or something. WD-40 ain't gonna really work. You gotta have some type of grease. So I lubricate them so that they come off easy and don't seize up. I always, every time you mess with nuts and bolts, always put it on by hand first. If not, you'll cross thread and you're gonna have a serious problem. So put a little bit on there, don't take much. It basically serves the same purpose as anti-seize, so the bolts don't seize up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those tightened down by hand as tight as possible. Okay. Going to get my 1/2 inch. Another 1/2 inch or 15? No, that was a 15, excuse me. 15 millimeter. Tighten these by hand. You ain't gotta whack them with the hammer. And give it a little bit. That's good. Alright, as you can see, there's a little bit of play because I pressed them out. So what I'm gonna do is just pump the brakes a few times. So that the cylinder's engaged and see it's not shaking. See what I mean? So it's not wobbly, or it doesn't appear to rock back and forth because the cylinder is now compressed the pads back to the rotor where it needs to be. Now at this point, all we need to do is put these tires on there. I had to take the other tire back off, double check something, but we good. So I'll put the tires back on there, and I'm finished. So this is one of my first DIY videos, so they'll be a lot smoother, and because I'm forgetting things, trying to make sure I get it recorded. So you know, I'll try to, every time I'm doing something and I could actually record it, I will, and try to get that video to you. So right now, we're going to get these tires back on there, and we're done. And I'll tell you something too, when putting these tires on, these lug nuts back on, make sure you put them on by hand first. Make sure it's up there where you can screw them in. Now, let me grab my air compressor, what I like to do is take the socket itself, press that up on there, and hand tighten them, at least 2 to 3 of them, all the way, so that it lines itself up and all of them are seated equally. So you literally can do 2, take it, turn the others a couple times, make sure they screwed on there good enough and went on proper, and then you either got a 4-way or you got air tubes, whichever one. Start with the 2 you tighten down and you want to cross tighten. You tighten in the cross pattern. And once you tighten in the cross pattern, you can go back. Had to turn the compressor off so I can finish up. You cross tighten, and once you do that, tighten in the cross pattern. Once you do that, tie it tight. If you're using a 4-way, set it back down and snug them all, or torque them if you're using a torque wrench. If not, just get them pretty tight, and you're done. So there you have it, 2014 Nissan Altima rear brake pads. So I hope that helps out, and the more videos like this I do, the better it'll be. So alright, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.